You're on the clock with Tyler Jennings and Jared Perkins, a Prospects Live podcast for everything MLB draft related. Join us as we discuss the biggest stories from college and high school baseball, bring you interviews from your favorite draft prospects, and break down live looks with Prospects Live analysis across the nation. Get ready, because you're on the clock with Tyler Jennings and Jared Perkins.
Alrighty, welcome to another episode of On the Clock by Prospects Live. I'm Jared. That's Tyler. Tyler, how you doing today? How's life?
I'm finally not sick anymore. Knock on wood.
You're not what?
I'm not sick anymore, which is good.
Yeah, you were awful last episode. Not awful as on the episode. You just sounded awful on the last episode.
I mean, you could tell me I was awful on the episode too. That's fine.
No, you did a great
I'll
job.
own it.
That was fantastic.
Okay, Jared. Okay.
So we are in week 3 of the college baseball season, somehow already almost a month into the season. Got a couple undefeated teams left. You got TCU and Texas A&M going undefeated. I wrote about this a little bit in the college rundown that'll go out hopefully tomorrow. TCU hasn't been perfect. The pitching staff has like a 4.79 ERA. Peyton Tolley hasn't been Peyton Tolley. The team's just kind of been struggling on the mound, but still they've played tough competition too. It's not like they've been just having an easy route to 12-0. What are your thoughts on TCU?
Yeah, no, like it's interesting because they've had 5 games where they should have easily lost all 5 of those games, but
yeah,
you take 3 comeback victories against FGCU on the opening weekend, and you sweep UCLA at home. Then you get a quality tournament in Arlington, and they won every single game. Yeah. I mean, they got some quality wins already to their name. It's year in, year out, this is a TCU team that's going to rake and going to pitch. Granted, you mentioned Peyton Tolley not being up to par yet. I think even Anthony Silva's had a little bit of struggles to start the year too. But
yeah,
hey, I mean, they're 12-0. It doesn't matter how you get there. At the end of the day, there's a 12 and a 0 in your record, and it's and
a sweep on a ranked team, like in part of that 12-0.
Yeah, even though UCLA, we can probably decide that they're not ranked. Yeah. They probably shouldn't have been ranked, to be honest.
Yeah. Do you think TCU wants to just play in the Pac-12 right now because they are destroying every Pac-12 team that comes down their path?
Depends on if they want to get their ass beat by Oregon State.
Yeah, that's true. Oregon State is incredible. It's just funny that they're just rolling through the Pac-12. And also the fact that they scheduled like basically every Pac-12 team besides Oregon State and Oregon. It's kind of insane.
Hey, you got to send the Pac-12 out in a proper way. And it's called destroying their hopes and dreams because there's going to be none after this year anyways. So.
They're basically like, see, this is why you're going to a new conference.
Well, not all of them.
Most of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I just can't wait for the Stanford NC State matchup on next spring.
Yeah, so excited for that one. Yeah, can't wait for UCLA and USC to roll into town to Maryland. That'll be a good time.
I can't wait for the USC Rutgers football games at like 8 a.m. on a Saturday now.
Yeah, because we know that Rutgers is really good at football. So
hey, they're decent. All right, they were a bowl team this year.
I know, and the Patriots used to draft like every Rutgers player, so that was a good time for a while.
For a man that doesn't like football, you know that off the top of your head and just brought it up out of nowhere.
I used to watch the Patriots back in the day. Now I don't care.
Oh, okay. So you're a Tom Brady fanboy. Got it.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I don't know. Just not a big football fan. I didn't like the Buccaneers when Tom Brady went down to the Buccaneers. So, anyways, back to baseball. We have another undefeated team, Texas A&M, 11-0. Their path has been a little bit easier to that 11-0 mark. But can we talk about Braden Montgomery and what he's doing to baseball and pitchers?
Yeah, very good. Hits ball very hard. Chase Laviolette. Yeah, no, the entire outfield is really good. Hayden Schott's been pretty good. The pitching staff has been the biggest revelation for me personally. I don't know how they managed to get Max Wiener from Seattle to be their new pitching coach when Yesavage left for LSU, but holy hell, that has been one hell of a investment at this point. I don't think Ryan Prager's allowed to run yet this year. Justin Lampkin looks good. Tanner Jones from Jacksonville State looks really good. Shane Sadeo, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. We're starting the hype train on that one for 2025. Me and Joe Doyle, we are the conductors. So if anybody wants to hop on for that, he's already into the mid-90s, and he's really good. So, the Texas A&M team, have they played anybody? No, not really. But it's a very well-rounded team, and this is a team that's going to make some noise in the SEC this year.
Yeah. Speaking of Ryan Prager, 27 strikeouts and 16 and 2/3 innings, 0 ERA, like you said. Only giving up 8 hits.
Okay. Here's the thing. Let's go ahead and see what Hagen Smith has got on his docket right now, because that's going to clear Ryan Prager by a good bit.
100%. Yeah, Hagen Smith is a good time. What do you think that Texas A&M ERA is, though?
Probably like 2.5.
1.45 TVRA.
I'd say that's good.
Want to know what their opponent's ERA is?
Probably like 10.
11.37. You were close.
Okay, so I'm good at guessing is what I'm learning today.
Absolutely insane. I mean, like, I know that their competition hasn't been great, but to just do that at that level, it's still, regardless, you're still playing Division I teams. I know they're not like the top of the Division I, but to be able to go in 11-0, but also go in 11-0 in that dominant fashion, that's not easy to do at the college level.
Yeah,
that's a huge difference for me. Other stories we got from the weekend. We have Luke Holman, now the Friday night guy in LSU, and he showed again why he's the Friday night guy and should have been the Friday night guy from the beginning. I understand why they went Thatcher Hurd, for sure. The guy's got some of the best stuff probably on the team. But Luke Holman has come into week 3, taking that Friday night gig, and he showed up. 5 2/3 innings. I think he struck out, was it 11, 12? Can't remember. But it was absolutely disgusting. He did 91 pitches in that 5 2/3 innings, struck out 12. He has basically cemented himself now as the Friday night guy.
Amen. Hallelujah. He's not allowed to run yet either in 18 innings. Only walked 2, 30 strikeouts. It was 12 this past weekend against arguably, Texas did get swept in Houston, but Texas year in, year out is a really good team. They always have bats. Jared Thomas is one of the biggest bats in the country. But yeah, Luke Holman just looks completely like a different animal. Pretty deceptive. He's pretty deceptive. Yeah. It's a lot more deceptive than I thought it would be. Hides the ball really well. You don't see it until he gets to about right here. Fastball gets on you really quick. I think the slider is better than the curveball, which, you think of Luke Holman's curveball as like a big bender, 78, 80 with like 20 plus inches of vertical break. The only issue with me is it kind of pops out of the hand too much, and you can kind of recognize it pretty quickly. There was one point where he threw a curveball, and I think the second inning, but then doubled down on it and hung it, and it got laced for a double to the opposite field. So I think working on the sequencing a little bit could probably work in his favor. But in terms of pure stuff, like fastball, slider, curveball, throwing a good changeup, this is one of the bigger helium guys in the draft so far, which we already had him pretty high. Yeah. But I think he's solidified himself as a first rounder at this point in the season. Granted, it's week 3, but conference play starts this week.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, again, I think we talked about this on multiple podcasts. We'll see what a lot of these guys do when they start facing the better arms, the better bats when they get into conference play. But you have to like what you've seen so far. Of course, Jay Johnson is loving what he's seen so far, and it's enough that he's got confidence in him being the Friday night guy. And he did it again, like you said, against a not good, but like a decent Texas team. So hats off to him on that one. We did have one upset that I know of from last week. Stetson beat Florida during a midweek game. Go Stetson.
Logan Gilbert curse is what I'm going to call that one, I think. Here's my question for you. How many people actually remember that Logan Gilbert was the ace of that Stetson staff? And they hosted a regional that year.
Yeah. I did not remember that until you mentioned that to me.
I was like, that was one of my first things. Like Corey Kluber went to Stetson, Jacob deGrom went to Stetson, hit a homer off of Chris Sale. Like Stetson's had some pretty good guys come through their ranks in the past few years, and like
Them
I
and
don't
Florida
know.
Gulf Coast, man. Those two teams have always sneakily made the tournament every year.
Amen.
It's
Not
it's
that
fun. We got to give some shout outs to some guys who did some things in that game, though, because I feel like the small school players never get those kind of shout outs. We had Cole Stallings, who went 2 innings while giving up only one hit out of the bullpen to get the save. Anthony Fabia went 3 2/3 of scoreless baseball to hold Florida to those 4 runs after the starter gave up 4 runs. And they had a couple hitters. Their catcher Gio Cueto and third baseman Juan De La Cruz both drove in 2 to really put Stetson on the board. So props to them. I know working at a mid-major, like you look forward to those midweek games, right? Those are your opportunities to really shine and on a bigger stage and maybe upset a ranked team like Stetson did. So I noticed Florida's still coming in at number 4, even though they've been upset twice this year, but they're also 8-3 and they've been playing good baseball. So outside of that, they're doing pretty well. They bounced back, took 2 or 3 against Miami. They're doing fine.
Yeah, you also mentioned Gio Cueto. I had actually no idea he left Wake Forest to go to Stetson.
I didn't know he was at Wake Forest before Stetson.
He was committed there as a high schooler. I remember that. He was one of like the first high schoolers I ever saw.
Interesting. Nice. Shout out Gio Cueto. Love it. So we have a few other stories that we'll get into. We got to talk about Hagen Smith. You mentioned him already. Is that guy going to make himself a 1-1 at this point?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I talked with Joe Doyle on his podcast. It came out this morning, but we recorded a couple nights ago. He brought up the idea of Hagen Smith being a potential 1-1 candidate, and it's definitely something to think about. I mean, it's March. It's early March.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to be solidified at this point in the draft until maybe 2 weeks beforehand, and even then, do you even know? No, I think Hagen Smith has definitely put himself in a position to put like 1-1 talk into his ear. I think that's the thing that's going to help him is the command has improved. He's going to have to use the changeup more, but I mean, like at this point, the fastball slider has been deadly. But the improved command is definitely something that's put him into that second starting pitcher college slot for me. And Chase Burns has been a little bit inconsistent in the past 2 weeks with walks. He's walked 7 in 2 starts. I think at the end of the day, if Hagen Smith continues this kind of dominance, he's going to be favored because he's a lefty. Teams will favor a lefty over a righty. Plus, it's a 60 grade heater with a 70 slider and a serviceable changeup from the left side. You don't find that every day of the year.
Dude.
And I've heard some people even call it like Carlos Rodon.
Yeah.
Carlos Rodon was ridiculously good at NC State.
Oh, he's insane.
Yeah, like some people don't remember that sometimes, but Carlos
I remember
Rodon
watching him, man. He was fun in college.
Dude. It's a fun story of how he even ended up there, too. He could have been drafted out of high school.
Really?
Yep. From what I remember, I think Nathan Rohde was the one that told me this. He went to one of his starts it was Fuquay Farina High School. He was like low 90s, looked really, really good. And then he had he tweaked his back like halfway through the start, and his velo dipped into the low 80s or mid 80s rather. And that's what ended up getting him to campus.
That's wild.
So
it's those little things that like you don't realize. I just always find prospect development and just player development in general interesting because you think about that. Like you said, he had tweaked back, velo went down and dipped. I mean, I look at a guy like Tarek Skubal too, right? He was like a guy that was like projected to be a number 4 or 5 starter. Now all of a sudden he gets injured, comes back, and he's just popping 97, 99. Like now all of a sudden he's like a frontline type pitcher. And so you just never know what the kind of things are going to happen in a player's career.
No, absolutely. And like with Hagen Smith, like yes, he already has TJ on the ticket. That's going to happen. I think at this point, and more teams are going to get more comfortable with TJ guys. I think the shoulder is more concerning than an elbow injury at this point.
Everybody's getting TJ now.
Yeah, I think we've gotten past a point in scouting where TJ is not the end all be all like it was in the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah. It's the shoulder injuries of the thoracic outlet syndrome. I think everybody is looking at those and like, ooh.
His shoulders are so scary
Yeah.
when they get injured, man. Like Brandon Woodruff, prime
Couldn't find a
example.
contract for a reason.
No, and I don't even think that's his first shoulder injury either. I think it's the second one.
No. And he's got one of the really bad ones this time too. That's hard to come back from.
I don't think he's pitching this year.
No, 100% not. He might not even pitch much in his second year on that Brewers contract either.
Was he back with the Brewers?
Yeah, he went back to the Brewers.
Oh, okay, good for him. Good spot for him. Honestly.
Yeah. We got to talk a little about a couple of draft guys before we get into some of our live looks. We got Charlie Condon. I mean, does he just wake up and hit home runs? That's my question.
Yes, he is. You know how there's some people that like dream and they're counting sheep. He's counting dingers as he's sleeping.
God, insane. His slugging percentage is 1.273 right now.
I think that's good. I think I saw something
insane.
his average. I think I saw something his average exit velocity is like over 100 right now on the year. That is unconsciously good. And the big thing with Charlie coming into the year was we didn't know what his position was.
And he's looking great at third base.
Yes. The easiest way I could put it is I think he's a third baseman just off of 47 some odd innings of manning the position this year.
The reflexes are insane. Like, some of the plays I've seen.
Yeah. The athleticism is a lot better than you think it is.
Yeah.
And that was another thing, too. Was he athletic enough to handle a corner outfield position? Excuse my language, but shit, he's athletic enough to handle the hot corner at this point.
There was a time I dreamed that Charlie Condon would go to the Royals at 1-6, and I think that dream is officially dead. So.
Oh, yeah, it's not happening.
No, 0.0% chance. I mean, when we did our mock, I think we had him at going at like what 1-6, 1-7, something like that. And I was like, oh,
lower
nice.
than that. He fell a little bit on that one. But yeah, no, Charlie Condon, I love him. Love him at this point, man. I think we're working on the re-rank for our top 200 right now. I think we've had him as high as 2.
Yeah,
and we've even considered putting him over Pizzana for 1.
It's been amazing.
It's that kind of bat. And now that you've added third base to the defensive profile, it's legitimate 1-1 candidate.
Yeah, and I feel like the argument that we can make of like he hasn't played in the SEC yet, but like he mashed in the SEC last year. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that argument. You can't be like, oh, let's see how he does in SEC play. He's done it already as a freshman.
Yep.
So I feel like at that point you can throw that out the window. I think it's a overwhelming yes. He's going to probably mash in the SEC. I don't think we have to worry about that.
If he doesn't, I will cry.
Yeah, I think we all will. Second guy, also in the SEC, we got to talk about is Jac Caglianone. Just continues to impress. He's made adjustments in the offseason that are looking to have very much paid off. He, this weekend against Miami, went 3 for 5 with a home run at the plate, but also decided to go on the mound and just, I don't know, strike out 11 in 6 innings.
Only walked 2 as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's an improvement. I think that's a bigger thing than striking out 11 and 6.
Yeah.
Limiting the walks to just 2 when there was multiple occasions last year when he was walking like 5 or 6 in like 3 innings. There's a big improvement. And even with the bat, like the bat to ball looks noticeably better. He's still chasing a ton, which for a guy that's going to be probably landlocked at first base as a bat, not the greatest thing, but it's an improvement upon what he had last year when his chase percentage was over like 40%. But I think now, looking at what he is as an arm, averaging 95 so far through the season, fastball command looks so much better. The delivery looks a lot better too. He's more compact. He looks more in sync. This is also coming off a fall where he averaged like 98 with the fastball and threw like 70% strikes.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's finally turned that corner, at least as an arm. I'm still waiting to see what it's like as a bat once we get to SEC play. But as an arm, I think he looks a lot better. And I'm pretty excited to see how that holds up over a full year. Because if he does that all year, I think somebody's going to bet on him as a starter. And I think it's going to work out.
Yep. I agree. Now we really have to get into some of our live looks here. We're going to start with your guy, Trey Yesavage, 8 shutty, 11 Ks, was 102 pitches, something like that.
103. Yep.
103. Yeah. Let's see if we can pull this up here real quick. He was just absolutely dominant. We'll watch. There we go.
I was going to say audio.
Yep. Yeah. There we go. What were your thoughts on this start?
Electric. Can I say that?
Yeah. Always.
So here's the thing. I think I may have said this before, but I like the sound of my own voice, and I'm going to say it again. I had a buddy text me while I was watching Hagen Smith strike out 17 and 6. He was like, "Do you regret skipping on Trey Yesavage at UNC to go see Hagen?" I was like, "No, because I'm going to go see Trey next week, and it's going to be just as good, if not better." Nobody's going to top 17 Ks in 6 innings, but Yesavage threw 8 shutout, 2 hits, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts.
Yeah.
It was really efficient. He had a 5-pitch inning and a 4-pitch inning later on in the day that really kept him into the 8th inning. He had 26 total whiffs, which
Insane.
is one more than what I saw with Hagen Smith in Texas, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And what's funny is he kind of started off rough. It was like 92, 95 with spotty fastball command. He wasn't in the zone as much, but you can see it. He's really pitching off the gyro slider and the changeup nicely.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd even go as far as saying the changeup plus. He's got the conviction to throw it to righties. He's got confidence in it. It just dives off the table.
Yeah.
I mean, you're seeing it right there. Like, it is ridiculously good. And the slider kind of works off that same vertical plane as well. So, like, comes in at 85, 86, just late bite, drops off. Guys are swinging over it. Change up, same way, like slider right there. I think this might have been a change up. No, I think that was a slider. Yeah, no, they're just sliders. But he held like 94, 96 for like from inning 2 to inning 5 and just looked absolutely electric in the process of doing that. And just pitching off the slider and the changeup. The velo did dip a little bit towards the end of the outing. He was like 91, 94 for the final couple of frames, but came back out for the 8th on like 90 pitches and looked really, really good. Had like 6 whiffs alone in the 8th inning, which is impressive.
Yeah.
He was gassed, and I think we all knew he was gassed, but he was still bumping 4s. He may have bumped to 95 in the 8th inning. I can't remember, but just still pitchability off the changeup and slider is just pristine.
Yeah.
The body's really good. I think personally he's the 4th best college arm on the board. And he might even find a way to kind of surpass Brody Brecht at some point if Brecht doesn't, continue to throw strikes.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing with Brody Brecht right now is the strike throwing hasn't gotten much better from what it was. I think he's still around sub 60% strikes on the year. Yesavage is going 8 innings, 7-8 innings now with 3 potentially plus pitches, and he hasn't even introduced the curveball yet. And the curveball I thought was his best pitch last year. I really like it, and I think we're gonna talk about comparing like Yesavage and Santucci later. That's a really good discussion to have.
Yeah. Well, both have been fantastic. Santucci struck out 14 over 6 this weekend, and again faced Akron, but still, 14 strikeouts is nuts.
In 6 innings, but hey, Hagen Smith did better than you, Jonathan. So up your game next time.
It's we have the Hagen Smith bar now that no one's gonna reach.
Somebody might reach it. Santucci tried. I'll give him that.
Close.
Do it again this weekend against Wake Forest, Jonathan, please.
Yeah,
please do it.
Hagen did against Oregon State, so
right.
You have to do it against Wake. There's no other choice, no other option.
Yeah.
Or are you going to see Santucci pitch against Wake?
I'll be there the whole weekend.
Ooh, nice. That's gonna be a hard game to probably get a spot, but
I'm gonna sleep overnight in the concourse.
What? I don't think that's possible. I don't think you're allowed to do that.
If there's a will, there's a way, Jared. If there's a will, there's a way.
That's what I'm worried about going to the Wake Forest Virginia game because that's going to be real hard to get a spot.
Just get there early enough. That's all you got to do,
But they had assigned seats. That's the problem.
Oh, that's Virginia problems. That's not
Yeah.
Wake Forest problems. The Wake Forest idea, I think his name's Grant. Lovely guy, by the way. I think he handled the situation we had with the first episode with Seaver and Nick pretty well, considering we kind of forgot to tell him about it.
Yeah. Whoops. Our fault.
Yeah, that is our fault. But like he handled it pretty well. He's been very nice in conversations. I'm excited to finally meet him this week, and he's gone out of his way to help us out. So
Yeah.
like kudos to you, sir. You do a fantastic job for coming in replacing what was already a good SID in Ryan last year.
And if you would like to get Josh Hartle on our podcast, we would love to have him sometime.
Just get the whole like weekend rotation on. We have
Yeah.
Josh, Chase, and Michael just all right here.
Yeah. We'll just all hang out and have a good discussion. Be a great time for everyone. Only game I got to. Oh, wait, you had NC State too. How was that game?
The run ruled in the 7th.
Yeah, that's tough.
I will say Jacob Kozar looked pretty good. Doubled in the first inning. It was a pretty loud double too. 2 walks. He did strike out, and I think there was also a pretty deep fly ball to center. And he looks pretty good behind the plate. I think the biggest thing I noticed, and granted, this is just one game, so it's not like a giant sample to go off of. The biggest thing with Kozart last year was spin. I don't think he recognized spin all that well. He was kind of swinging and missing through quite a bit of sliders against Duke in October. I think this year he's only had like 1 whiff against a slider, which granted they've played VCU, Hawaii, and Towson. It's not great stuff, but seeing that he's only had 1 whiff against sliders this year already through 3 weeks is pretty promising. I would like to see that continue in ACC play. They got Boston College this week. I think, though, few guys on that team are currently under the weather with the flu. I heard they canceled tomorrow's game against Winthrop because of that. So hopefully that's not a long-term thing. But like I said, if he continues doing ACC play, I don't know where my thumb is. There we go. Thumbs up for me.
Love it. The only game I got out to this weekend as Tyler disappears from our screen. Oh, he's back. Nice. Look at that. Look at that guy. Went out and saw UMass versus Virginia on Sunday. Jay Woolfolk was on the mound. Probably the best outing that he's had all year. Looked pretty good. Got some Casey Saki, got some Griff O'Farrell, got some Ethan Anderson. Not too much happening. Virginia won 10-6. The Virginia pitching staff is definitely quite a bit of a struggle. I will say bullpen didn't look great. They got Aiden Teal closing, Kyle Teal's brother. He looks pretty good. He's been the best arm probably out of that bullpen so far. But we'll get into a little bit of Jay Woolfolk's start here. Let me see if I can get that pulled up. I will say that the one thing I noticed about him is that the fastball has really good ride up in the zone, right? It's about 90 to 92, got down to 89 a couple times. So the velocity's not there like it was when he was in the bullpen and he was hitting that 97. Did not see one above 92 the entire game. Doesn't have a great command of it. Like he kind of throws it and just hopes, tries to live up in the zone. Slider looked pretty good. Had really good bite to it. It was sitting around probably 84 to 87. So it was a good hard bite. That's what he was throwing most of the day. That was what he was using to get people out. But he wasn't getting many whiffs with it. Whether it was ground balls, fly balls, he was just going to that slider. And so that was his go-to. Threw a changeup a couple times, but definitely didn't seem super confident with it. But he was willing to go to it if he needed it. That's kind of my take on him. I think he looked really good to start. Like I said, with the fastball, even though it's only 90 to 92, like it looks like it's coming on the hitters a lot faster because of that ride and movement it's got.
Yeah, it looks like he's got some decent little two-seam action as well.
Yeah, it was two-seamer riding in on righties.
I think the biggest thing, kind of looking at the slider, you mentioned 84, 87. I think it might be more of like a cutter with a tight spin. But even then, like that's still a dynamic weapon to have. If you can keep it down more in the zone, I think that's going to be a really good weapon to have.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder, the arm action looks maybe a little bit different too, like it's shortened up just a little bit.
Yeah.
but it's hard to tell. I like going off of brain memory from
What you saw
July.
last year.
Yeah. But you mentioned the velo being down. Like that's gonna be standard. I think Michael Massey's going through the same things where he's being stretched out. The velo's not going to be the mid-90s that he had last year in the bullpen, but it's gonna be something he can manage and still make the fastball work. And I think that Woolfolk's in that same kind of scenario where if you can prove that you're a starter, yes, the velo's down, but I do believe the stock will improve if the command improves. And he can prove to you that I can go 5, 6, 7 innings every single week.
Yeah, and I think he only walked one guy over 6, but he gave up 8 hits. So like he wasn't getting guys out on whiff. He was getting guys out on contact basically most of the game. I think I'd have to go back and look to see what he had for strikeouts in that game. He had 5 strikeouts over 6, so it wasn't terrible, but gave up 8 hits, gave up 1 earned, only walked 1, which was nice. That's what you kind of wanted to see, and did it, I think, over 88 pitches. So it was definitely his best outing that I've seen. I've watched a couple of his other games on film. I think his first outing he walked 5 guys and just didn't have it. So it was impressive. I mean, UMass, I will say, just from a standpoint of watching them, they definitely are a singles hitting team. They're not going to get you in the gap power. They're not even going to get the over the fence power. They are basically, let's hit as many singles as we possibly can. And that's all they really hit off of them, was singles.
Lift small, bunt the ball.
Yep. Yeah. Other than that, other guys, I'd say Henry Ford was the most impressive hitter on that entire lineup. He went 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs, some real nice power, ability to drive the ball in the gaps. Just overall super impressive. Good plate discipline, doesn't chase out of the zone, had a good ability to pick up spin. Even in the bats, he struggled to kind of get ahead in. He was battling, would not get put away with a strikeout. Really, really impressed with that kid, and I think he's going to be someone that might jump up on 2025 boards. All aboard the hype train of Henry Ford, and he's hitting cleanup as a freshman, which is impressive in itself.
So now I got to ask, you think you could go to Detroit and it was like a perfect fit?
They would make so much money off the marketing of that.
Henry Ford has been revived from his 19.
Ford would be given a sponsorship to the Detroit Tigers. They probably already have one with Ford, but they would be getting even bigger sponsorship.
Well, I mean, hey, the Lions are in Ford Field across the street from Comerica,
Yep.
So
yeah, and you could have Henry Ford hitting cleanup for the Detroit Tigers.
He hits one off the Ford Field building.
Other than that, Griffo Farrell looked fine. He went 0 for 2 with 2 walks, RBI. I was talking to Rekka about him a little bit earlier. He kind of reminds me a little bit of a Matt Shaw light. Just kind of plays shortstop. He's rangier. I thought he was rangier than Matt Shaw, but the arm's about the same. Not much better than Matt Shaw's was at shortstop, so he probably profiles more as a second baseman. The bat was fine. He just couldn't seem to get solid contact on anything. Was following a lot of things off, working counts deep. Wasn't more of a swing and miss issue, more chasing out of the zone. He just wasn't. It seemed like they had trouble timing up the starter's fastball. It had some ride to it, 2-seamer, so they were either getting on top of it or just kind of swinging over it a little bit. But yeah, I'd say most of the hitters are going through the same thing. Ethan Anderson went 0 for 3. Only struck out once, but he hit the ball hard when he did put it into play. Casey Saki went 2 for 3. He was impressive, really good at bats. But overall, just kind of a slow weekend for Virginia.
I dare say it was kind of a slow weekend in general. Well, I mean, mainly because like coming off of what we had last week, and then it's kind of like a dead week. I mean, yes, it's rivalry week, but dare I say it, we don't really have guys in South Carolina
in Georgia.
Yeah, the Palmetto series, dude.
Yeah,
the Palmetto series delivers every single year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sadly, we didn't have anybody at those games. We were out here watching UMass versus Virginia, so
nothing wrong with that.
No, the starter only went 2 innings, 5 earned for Massachusetts.
Well, you're also not expecting the starter to go deep against a top 10 ACC team.
Not at all. But, I mean, they did what they needed to do. It was impressive. They put up 10 spot. The bullpen, like I said, issues with the arms, not great. I will say Henry Godbut. I don't even know how to say that. I don't know if you know who this is, but he went 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a home run, and he absolutely torched one.
Oh yeah, Godbout.
Yeah. So didn't get any film on him, but he looked pretty good in this game.
Don't worry, it's okay. I'll see him at the end of the month, so it's fine.
Yeah,
I got
you got it. What's your take on Godbout?
I haven't watched enough of him to really give a solidified take on him, but I've heard the bat's really good. Defensively, I like I said, I haven't watched enough film to really put him anywhere. But
yeah, good times. I think all we got left is talk about new stuff that's come out at Prospects Live. We have a few reports. Ohio Valley prep season deep dive on right-handed pitchers by Brian Switzer. That's out on the website now. We'll have college baseball week 3 roundup going out tomorrow for you all. Tons of video from Tyler and Patrick in their series, the college baseball series. They got some Gavin Turley footage, some Brady Tigert, some Mason Molina, some Jonathan Kim, Kendall Diggs, everybody you can think of. They got it. Virginia video is already up, so if you want to see any of those guys, that's also on the YouTube channel. Anything else on your end?
I mean, other than just expecting to see the Globe Life series thing come out either tomorrow or Wednesday. For what it's worth, my ethics professor has been giving me a tough slate the past couple of weeks. And ethics is kicking my ass. So can't wait for May to show up. But apart from that, like we mentioned it before, we are working on a top 200. We're finalizing the ranks. We're hoping to get that either this weekend or next week. I haven't really decided yet. I know my original plan was this weekend, but life happened. So
good time.
Can't control that. So.
Yeah. If you want to see a Hagen Smith 17K game, also on the Prospects Live YouTube channel. So be sure to
plus you can watch Aiden May also be just as good.
Don't forget about Aiden May. Someone give that guy some love because he got completely overlooked thanks to Hagen Smith.
Dude, there's some 7 sliders in there, man. That I told Patrick before the outing, I was like, we're gonna be in slider heaven tonight.
Yeah.
And we got
ousted.
We got more than slider heaven. I'm pretty sure we were seeing slider gods on the mound. To be honest,
as to the movement on both those guys, because I watched the Aiden May video too. It was nuts.
Oh, he's getting like 15 inches of horizontal with like it was just like here.
Yeah. Good times. Gotta love it. So we usually have interviews after this. We're working on getting some more. It's a little bit more tough during the college baseball season when everybody's playing. So working on a couple. So hopefully we'll have some interviews during the season. But we do have to put Tyler on the we got some questions. I've added some more since we've been sitting here. Let's go through them. Biggest draft riser in 2024 thus far?
Chris Livonis. Definitely. So we were talking about this last night. William Schmidt is a guy that's really popped on our radar for us now. Like he was on the top 10 for the prep list. I think he's even higher now. But it's a similar like body and similar kind of athleticism with what Livonis has. And Livonis came out like 95, 98 at Super 60 and is holding that velo as well. I think he's been up to 96 in game and with 2 really good breaking balls, a cutter and a changeup.
Gotta love that.
I think if the strikes need to improve, that's the one complaint I've heard. But I feel like if we're going to put Schmidt in the first round, which that's a little hint for some of the people listening to this when we release the rankings, Livonis will not be far behind. And if anything, maybe the strikes put him down to like second round, maybe. But Livonis is pretty easily my biggest riser in this class this year.
Love it. I'd say from the college angle, biggest riser probably have to be Hagen Smith at this point.
Kalen Culpepper?
Yeah. But I think Hagen was a first rounder before, but he's jumped himself up, I feel like, in the last 2 games.
Yeah, that's fair. I think with Kalen, like, I'm trying to think, he was more like a comp round guy coming into the year. He has retooled that swing and is just letting his athleticism play. Dude, it is such a beautiful swing now. I think he's a legitimate first rounder. So, I guess
Go
he would be
back.
my biggest college riser at this point.
Yeah. And who's he with? Sorry. Oh, K-State. That's
K-State.
right. Yep. Looking at his now, stat wise. Just wanted to see what we got here.
I'll have to send you like a little snapshot of his swing open side after this. Like it is a lot better than what it was over the summer, man.
Yeah, 302, 4 homers, 11 RBI, 674 slug. Not bad. Not close enough to Charlie Condon's 1.2 slug, but there. It's getting there.
I mean, there's only so much you can do when Charlie Condon's averaging over 100 miles an hour next to
No.
velo right now. So
It's insane. Biggest shock from a draft prospect so far.
Biggest shock. Probably Malcolm Moore. A little bit. I was a little shocked to see the stat line coming into this weekend. I think he's still batting around the 200 line. I just don't know what's going on there. I haven't watched enough film, but I know he had some inconsistencies with sliders and seeing spin. I think that may have got up to him, unfortunately.
Yeah. I was going to go with a similar, not like shock as in good shock, but bad. Mike Sirota, my guy, hitting 176 to start the season. Not ideal with a 294 slug and 282 on base percentage. 9 Ks in 34 at bats, not what you want to see. Finally got his first home run over the weekend, but it's been quite the struggle for Sirota.
Yeah, and of course, Will went to go see Sirota this weekend, and he missed the home run.
How do you do that?
I think he said he was setting up for a reliever. But yeah, come on, Will. Come on, man.
Get the one bomb that poor Sirota's hit during this entire slump.
But the thing with Sirota is like he usually does. He's had slow starts to begin of the year.
Yeah.
I want to say it might be. Maybe he's being too hard on himself.
Yeah.
Maybe he's trying to overcompensate for the fact that it's not a good start, and he's trying to do too much to kind of get back into the swing of things. So I'd be interested to see how he looks in conference play, but it's just a disclaimer. There's been slow starts in the past, so I'm hoping that he's going to bounce back from it.
Yep. Yeah. Will Texas A&M lose this week?
No. Next question.
I'm going to go yes. I'm going to say they lose to Texas.
No. Texas. Here's the thing with Texas. They lost to Texas State on a brutal walk-off.
I know.
And then they blew 11-3 lead against Vanderbilt. They allowed 12 unanswered runs. No. With the way Texas A&M playing, Texas is going to get brutalized tomorrow. They're going to beat Texas Southern, and then they're going to sweep Rhode Island.
I'm going to go with Texas.
You want to bet on this?
No, I don't, because I don't think they're actually going to win, but I'm going to pick them. Just to go against you. Yeah. I'm not doing this because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm for sure think Texas is going to win. I'm doing it just because you picked an automatic sweep for Texas A&M. I'm saying
because
Texas.
They're good. What do you want me to do?
They are good. I know. They've dominated everybody thus far.
Yeah, they're going to dominate Texas.
Yeah, probably. It's a Tuesday game. Anything can happen.
They're still going to dominate them. I don't care.
Top 5 college pitching prospects as of now. Go.
As of right now, Burns, Hagen Smith, Brody Brecht, Yesavage, Santucci.
Brody Brecht still up at 3, huh?
Yes, and that's just because it's a really good fastball, velo, and really good slider.
No Jack up there, I guess, because two-way thing.
I would say he's 6th or 7th.
Yeah,
for me, Yes, I did praise him for having the more improved stuff. But also at the same time, I'd like to see a bit more of it.
Yeah.
I think, if anything, Ben Hess is my 6th starting pitcher on the board right now.
He's been
Ben
nasty.
Hess. I will preach that to the choir. That piece I wrote in December. My man has a 40% whiff rate on the fastball, and the slider and curveball have 50% whiff rates right now.
Yeah.
He has not needed the changeup at all. He looks really, really good.
If
please,
anybody wants to check out that article, Tyler will find it for you.
Yes, I will. If he's healthy the rest of the year, and then all of a sudden we're starting to talk about him being a first rounder in July, I'm going to put that article on repeat ad nauseum because I'm very proud of that piece, actually.
Quote it, screenshot the quote, and then tweet them out.
Yes.
That's what you got to do. Rub it in everybody's face. That's what everybody loves.
I will let my ego out on that one, actually.
All right. Now we're going to do some either or. Chase Burns or Jac Caglianone.
Are we talking about as of right now or like at the end of the year?
Let's go at end of the year.
Okay. I would say at the end of the year, if Cags continues the way he's pitching, I would probably go Cags. Mainly because of, I mentioned Hagen Smith and being a lefty. He would have the advantage for handedness. And that's really the biggest thing that would stand out to me. Yeah. Having that velo and having that good of a change. I think Jac Caglianone's changeups plus.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really good.
Yeah.
Chase Burns is still trying to figure out a changeup, but obviously it helps having a near 80 fastball with a 70 slider and what looks to be a pretty good curveball out of the top of his hand too.
That's always a good time.
Yeah, so I would say as of right now, it's Burns over Cags, but I think at the end of the year, if they happen to cross paths, I would say Cags.
Love it. So yeah, on these, just pretend you're on draft day. Who you taking? Those are what we're going with here. Hagen Smith or Brody Brecht?
Hagen.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Easy at this point. As much as I keep seeing Royals fans tweet out about how much they want Brody Brecht, I'm like, please, let's.
Let the Cardinals fans have that one, man.
Yeah, that's they already gave up Chase Davis, and then you can have Brody Brecht. You can have like the two toolsiest guys that have a lot of flaws.
All I'm going to say is they moved off of Chase Burns when they realized his first start was really good, and they changed the fastball shape. Yeah. And now they're like, I want Brody or I want Vance Honeycutt. I'm like, okay, have fun.
Yeah, go for it.
Hope you want Hagen Smith because it might happen.
Yeah. Ugh. This is my favorite one. Jonathan Santucci or Trey Yesavage.
Ooh, this is a good discussion, and this is something I talked with Joe on that podcast the other night.
Yeah,
I will go Yesavage for right now because you're going 7, you're going 8 innings, and just dominating, and you're throwing 3 really good pitches. I think the fastball you can either go 55 or 6. Slider is roughly the same, like you can go either 55 or it's a 6. Changeup's a 6. There's no other way around it.
Yeah.
My biggest thing with Santucci as of right now, yes, he's striking out everybody and their mothers right now. He is like 62% slider and like 30% fastball right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the fastball command's been iffy to start the year. I think it's something around like a 60% strike rate overall on the fastball, which isn't great.
Yeah.
So I think that's what holds me back on Santucci a little bit is the fastball command's not there. He's really just pitching off the slider at this point. He's only thrown like 2 or 3 changeups this year, which that's something that they did last year. Like he didn't really throw the changeup like heavily until they had Wake Forest, which I think was either first or second week in ACC play last year. So I'd like to see Santucci kind of sprinkle in more of the fastball and the changeup. Yeah, it kind of proves to me that you're more than just a one-pitch guy at this point. Because all the metrics are really good. It's just how's the command on the fastball. And I think Yesavage has just completely blown him out of the water in terms of command this year.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. Last one that I added, Charlie Condon or JJ Weatherholt?
Charlie.
Yeah. The injury hasn't helped JJ.
No, and I'm kind of worried. I'm kind of worried if it might be a little bit worse than we think it is.
It's 2 weekends now or just one that he's missed?
We're on 2.
Yeah.
We're on 2. So I'm kind of a little bit worried to see how long he's actually going to be out. But just by what we have right now, Charlie.
Yeah. He's been
Charlie's my boy. Like
so good. It's fun to watch every home run he hits. Like even every double he hits. It's just so loud off the bat.
That's the Cat X for you.
God. It's insane. Yeah, I'm taking Charlie too. I would love to go to Oklahoma State versus West Virginia. Hopefully he's back by then. Would be nice. I mean, it's not for probably not for till the end of the month, but would be great to go out there and see him. Knock on wood. I mean, I guess I can go see Carson Benji if I need to.
Carson Benji and his jam shots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good times. I think that's all we got for you guys today. We went through everything that you should check out on Prospects Live. Last thing we should mention, top 100 overall prospects, not MLB draft related, but baseball prospects. That dropped today as well. Yesterday, if you're listening to this on Tuesday. Make sure to check that out. Tons of great work from our scouting department that went into this offseason. They absolutely did an incredible job. Lots of reports. Tyler wrote up some reports in there as well. The MLB draft guys from the 2023 class. Just an incredible work from everybody. So make sure you definitely check that out.
Shout out Reese White for being an absolute starling human being for getting this done. He's gone through a lot this offseason, and I'll give him credit where credit is due. He's done a great job with holding what he's been able to do. It's not been easy. Because when I'm not sure if anybody, he didn't really announce this, but Jake Kearns did kind of leave early on into the cycle this year. And it definitely sucked. Jake did a really good job of what he did, but I think for what has happened, Reese has done a very, very, very good job with taking the reins and doing what he can. Yeah. You know, we might not have a book this year, but like the top 100 looks really, really good. He did a really good job of getting that together. So shout out Reese.
Yep. Reese, everybody, incredible job. We will be back next week. I have no games this weekend. Kira's birthday. Definitely not missing that. Got a whole celebration planned. Can't wait. It's going to be awesome. I did so much. Can't say anything because it's all secret and I can't have her find out. So,
well, now you just teased it on here. So now you're going to have her get curious on you the rest of the week.
I've already told her that I have a bunch of surprises, but I haven't told her what they are yet.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, well, I wish you best of luck on that. Tell Kira I said happy birthday.
And you will be out at Duke versus Wake?
Yep. We'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So got a hotel all set up. We're going to be there probably 24/7, honestly.
Yeah. Nice. Love it. We might have a guest for you next week, TBD. But until then, we'll see you on week 4.